Alright, hey guys, it's a good day for another video. Actually, to be honest with you, it's kind of a rough day. I got a really late start this morning. It was just a little bit rough getting out the door this morning. Last night I had a headache, and about 1 o'clock in the morning, couldn't go to sleep because I had a headache, and which I don't get too often, but occasionally. So I ended up taking some Excedrin, and Excedrin is really good. It'll get rid of the headache, but it's got quite a bit of caffeine in it. So it's like I slammed a couple Mountain Dews right before bed, and when I was younger that wouldn't affect me, but now that I'm a little older, that caffeine will keep me up at night. So anyways, I finally got to sleep, I think about 2:30 in the morning, and when it was time to wake up to go to work, it was rough, and I even had a little headache in the morning. It was gone for the most part, but just a little bit lingering, and so I took a little while to get going in the morning. But you're probably wondering where I'm going with all this. I do have a reason why I'm sharing all this with you, and it's because one day, guys, I'm not going to want to work anymore, and I think that day is coming sooner rather than later. About the last 5 years or so, my body is really slowing down. I'm going on 40 years old this year. Let's face it, I'm not exactly a spring chicken. I still have a lot of good years left in me, but I can definitely tell that I'm slowing down. When I get hurt, it takes longer to heal, and I seem to get hurt a little easier now. In the summertime, when I'm running pulls and I'm trying to be real fast, because I have to be, because there's a lot going on in the summer, I'll start to get a little tendonitis in my elbows, and my knees will start popping a little bit. They get a little sore, and I'm only 40. What do you think is going to happen when I'm 50 or 55 or 60? I'm going to have to slow down, and so that's what this conversation is going to be about. I was talking to a friend of mine the other day. I mentioned him before in previous videos, but he's a guy that I mentor. And we were talking about, planning for the future, planning for retirement. One of the challenges with owning your own business is you don't have a retirement. You have to get your own retirement. And, if you don't understand that, and you don't know how to plan for that, you may not have a retirement. And that's not a good position to be in. Him and I were talking to another guy a few weeks back. We were at this little party the local pool distributor was throwing, because they opened a new branch, and they're feeding everybody free barbecue and having some raffles and stuff. So we went to that together, just a little fun activity. And we were talking to another guy there, and he's trying to sell his business so he can retire. I didn't get his age. I think, if I had to guess, he was late 50s, early 60s, maybe mid 60s, but he's still out there hustling, and he's got one other guy that works with him, and he's the owner of the business, and he's trying to sell his business right now, and he's completely unrealistic as the value of his business. He wants to get 12 multiples, which, you won't even get 12 multiples if you list it with a broker. You'll end up usually with about 10 multiples, and even that's hard to get. Go look at all the businesses that are listed for sale right now, and of all those, you're probably only going to have maybe 15% of those that actually sell. More realistically, his business is worth 6 to maybe 9 multiples. And he kind of, I don't remember exactly how he said it, but he kind of made the comment that he didn't really have a retirement. And now he's slowing down. He actually has prostate cancer, which isn't the worst cancer in the world to have. It has a pretty good prognosis, but he wants to slow down and get out of work completely, but he can't, because he didn't plan ahead for this. And he made the comment that his, the business, the sale of his business is going to be his retirement. He's going to use that money to live on. That's a pretty bad situation to be in. Obviously you want to try to sell your business, but that shouldn't be your retirement. That should be the gravy on top. And really, most people aren't planning for their retirement because they just don't know how, especially when you're in a self-employed type of environment and you don't have an employer-sponsored retirement plan. It's pretty difficult. So, and the earlier you do it, the much easier it is. If you wait till you're 50 and you've only got 10 years left, you want to retire when you're 60, you're going to have a really hard time saving for that. But you know, the other end of the spectrum is if, you know, let's say you're 18, you just graduated and you're entering the workforce right now. You know, if you start saving a little bit every paycheck towards your retirement right now, you can pretty much live your entire life without having to put aside a ton of money towards your retirement, because the earlier you start, that money that you put away when you're 18 is going to compound and compound and compound, and it's going to grow so much more. I mean, I don't have the exact numbers on me. We're going to go into another video on this later, but you know, if you're 50 and you want to retire in 10 years, you can pretty much plan on, you know, depending on how much you need to retire, you can pretty much plan on putting away, you know, $5,000 a month, if not more, to hit that retirement goal. That's a lot of money for probably most people out there. But you know, let's say you're 18, you know, you could probably put away maybe $500 a month for your whole life and end up with the same amount of money when you retire, if not more. And that's a huge difference. So the earlier you start, the better. So just a brief history about me. You know, I've had a couple of, you know, moments in my life where I had to wake up and kind of get with the program really quick. And one of those occurred when I was newly married, and my wife and I, we were renting an apartment, and we had $6 in our bank account. And you know, we were both working and we were both going to school, and it was really hard to make ends meet, even with a very entry-level apartment and two incomes. And you know, I had to get my act together real quick there and provide for my family. And then another one was years later, after I had graduated and, you know, was in the workforce for several years and making, you know, a fair amount of money, and basically spending a fair amount of money, and coming to the realization that I was on the wrong course. Even though, you know, we were making a decent living, we were basically just treading water every year as far as our savings and net worth goes. I stumbled across Dave Ramsey. I'm not a huge fan of Dave Ramsey. I think he's, you know, he's pretty good for the most part for most people, but he is a little extreme, and you know, you can't necessarily go to that extreme either. I don't think. But I think for the vast majority of people, he's really, really helpful. And you know, listening to his program kind of started me along this path of thinking differently about finances and future and saving. And you know, I woke up one day and realized, you know, we were in a really bad spot financially, and I was working like a madman trying to support it all. Basically, long story short, you know, we were, you know, early to mid 30s, and my wife and I, we were about $500,000 in debt. And you know, we made pretty good money. We owned a home. Actually, it was a triplex that we were living in one unit, but we owned the triplex and rented the other units out, and we owned a cattle ranch. And when I say owned, we didn't truly own it. We, you know, the bank owned it. We were just paying on them, but we weren't making any excess funds every month to set aside to retire on. You know, we had our triplex property that, you know, we could have used to retire on. You know, paid on it our whole life and retired on that income. And then the ranch property that you know, we ran cows on and got a little income from that. But you know, above and beyond the income that we made, our expenses were basically the same, and you know, we were just breaking even every month, and my job, my W-2 job, was supporting it all. Neither one of those were really cash flow positive. I guess the triplex was cash flow positive, you know, towards the end of it, but you know, we ended up wanting to leave that area and move to a different area anyway, so we sold that. But you know, long story short, you know, when you wake up and you realize you're $500,000 in debt, and you're basically working, you know, 40 to 45 hours a week to support it, you kind of you kind of have to take a step back and wonder, you know, is there a way out, and what's the point of all this? And that's what we did. Dave Ramsey really helped me to realize that. You know, we did end up following some of Dave Ramsey's advice. We didn't go 110% in, like we didn't do the envelope thing and stuff, but we definitely made a list of all of our debts, you know, highest to lowest balance, and, you know, started paying those suckers off with, you know, the lowest balance first, and one by one, we got rid of every single one of them. I mean, we had a board that sucker was just full, and it was crazy how much debt we had acquired. You know, when you have a job and you have a W-2 income, you want something, you know, the bank, they'll give you a loan for it. If you want it, they'll loan on it. And we had a lot of debt. So we basically, over the course of, you know, 3 or 4 years, started paying all that off. And, you know, some of that, the only way to pay that off was to sell the property. So we ended up selling the triplex. You know, we probably would have kept that had we were going to stay living in that area, but we wanted to move to a different part of Arizona. So we ended up selling that. That helped a lot. And then we sold that ranch property. That helped a lot too. We were able to get rid of some of those small debts, just being a lot smarter with our money, and not blowing it on stupid stuff, and not getting loans for things we didn't need anymore. And it was kind of sad. You know, I had a couple of awesome classic cars, and I love classic cars. I had to get rid of those. And I haven't been able to buy them back again, even though we're doing better now financially. I haven't been able to buy them because the prices have just gone up through the roof. But now, you know, if you fast forward, you know, a couple years, I mean, actually, I guess it's been a little more than a couple years. It's probably been, you know, 6 to 8 years since that time. You know, we only owe, you know, money on our house, and I still have some student loans for a master's degree that I, you know, took out student loan for, but I don't even use that degree anymore, which is kind of funny, but, you know, that's how life is sometimes. So, you know, we're paying on that, and we're paying on our house, but our house, you know, we have a fantastic equity position in our house now. You know, the student loans, we're not in a super hurry because we're just kind of on, you know, one of those long-term payment plans, and it'll always be there. It'll never go away, but it's a very small percentage of our income now. And so we're able to continue to save and stuff on top of that. But now, looking at our overall financial situation, you know, and realizing that I'm getting older and I need to, you know, start getting things lined up for the future as far as retirement goes, and not having to go to work every day. And, you know, and we're in such a better spot now, given what we've been able to accomplish so far, and with the mindset that we have now, I think that we're well on the way to, you know, retire in 10 years, and that's my plan. I have a goal to retire in 10 years. So this video is basically just going to be an introduction to, you know, planning and preparing and thinking about retiring. And I'm not going to go into any details or, you know, about, you know, how to do that. We're going to talk about that in future videos. But I am interested to get a little bit of feedback from you guys. Do you think it's important to, you know, plan early for your retirement or not? You know, and if you are doing anything to retire, you know, what are you doing? Have you set any goals for retirement? Are you hitting those goals so far? You know, do you track those goals periodically or, you know, regularly to make sure that you're hitting those goals? And, you know, I'm also curious, you know, what do you guys want to do when you retire? When I say I want to retire, I don't necessarily mean I don't ever want to work again, because I'm the kind of guy that always has to be doing something. But I want my work to shift to, you know, work that's a little bit more enjoyable, less stressful, less hours, and, you know, most importantly, I don't have to work if I don't want to work. You know, if I wake up one day and decide that my body's done, I don't have to go to work to pay the bills.
Hello, large chocolate shake.
Yeah.
Any ketchup?
No, I'm good. No? Thank you. Okay, so that's really all I have to say on the matter. I'm going to go ahead and close this video out, but I hope you guys, you know, comment below, and I hope to get this discussion rolling with you guys, especially with you younger guys, because if I could go back in time, tell my younger self, what to do, I would absolutely start, investing in my retirement a lot earlier. Okay guys, that's gonna wrap it up. I'll talk to you guys next time.